Heating and air conditioning line set for a split unit. A split unit meaning the condenser may be outside and the air handler either inside, beneath the house, in the attic, or perhaps in a closet. And for this illustration, this is water pipe, but we'll take and use these two water pipes as a prop here just to illustrate kind of a scenario. Again, this is a fictitious scenario, but a scenario of how things work, how refrigerant works, and how refrigerant flows in a split unit. So if you notice, you have two copper lines, one larger copper line and one smaller copper line. Then going into the house, you may note that this is a fairly good indication that you may have an HVAC split unit. And the word split, and one may ask, well, what is a split unit? It's simple. It's just a terminology. It means that one part of the unit is outside, that would be the condenser, and one part would be inside or underneath the house or in the attic, and that would be the air handler. And one may ask, well, what does an air handler do? It simply handles air, it sucks it in, and produces either cold or hot air into the house, and then it sucks it through the return vent, and one side will be your return vent, the other side will blow it into the house. But so if we note this larger line here, oftentimes the larger line has a insulation on it. Now this larger line would be cooler. So we took a piece of PEX pipe here, say a 3/4 inch. Now this is water line. Keep in mind, this is for the heating and air, but this blue and red PEX pipe is for water line. But normally on the water line, we would say have the cold water going through the blue and then the hot water going through the red. And it's just a matter of mnemonics, simply meaning that one can identify. It's nothing particular. Even if you got it flipped up, it would still work. But however, it's just good if you go under there, it makes it quick. It's just an organization way. But say the 3/4 line is cooler, so it would run the cooler water. Okay, on the HVAC, the larger line would run the cooler refrigerant. Okay, on the smaller line, say the red line, the red pipe, perhaps on the water would be hot. Well, the red on the small would be the hot side. So just think of it like this. The larger one with the insulation, cool side, the smaller one, hot side. So again, let's recap. A larger one, cool side, smaller one, the hot side. So if we go into the summer months and the unit's working and we go out here and it's just has sweat on the pipe, and normally say hypothetically the sweat is on the pipe and there's no frost, no ice, etc., and we touch the pipe very gingerly and it feels good and cool or cold, this is a good sign that the unit may be functioning well. So what happens is the refrigerant would come from the A coil, say in the house or wherever under the house or whatnot, come out here, and it would go from the here, and it would go through a low pressure vapor, go through the condenser as a high pressure vapor. Then it would start to go to the liquid line. Then it would condense. It would go from vapor to liquid. So this would be the liquid side. Now, it's not advisable, but if you touch this, it may be warm to the touch if the unit's running. So what happens then, the refrigerant would go down through here and go through a TXV or some type of metering device and then re-enter the A coil, which would be under the house or in the closet or in the attic. Then the refrigerant would begin to flash from liquid to vapor. So once it flashes from liquid to vapor, then it absorbs the heat in the A coil. So just think of the A coil, fictitious analogy, as like a magnet, and heat goes to cold. So the heat, it pulls the heat in, the unit sucks at the blower motor, then it goes up and it's a low pressure vapor, and then it starts to come back as a low pressure vapor, then it exits and comes out of the house, goes into the compressor. Once the compressor compresses it, goes back to a high pressure vapor. High pressure vapor. Well, then you have the fan outside, and the fan outside will pull the cool air across it. And once it pulls the cool air across it, then we begin to dissipate the heat or reject the heat. Okay, on this side in the A coil, we're absorbing the heat. Outside, we're rejecting the heat. So this side here that would feed the A coil, once it goes through the A coil heat goes to cold. I think this is, the experts can add this to the comments, but when the heat from the room goes to the A coil, it begins to cool off. And then you have it absorbs the heat. So once you go outside and then the condenser fan motor is spinning and it pulls air across on the condenser outside, it rejects the heat. Then after it rejects the heat, the refrigerant will change phases, and it will go from a liquid to a vapor. From a vapor, excuse me, let me correct that. That's incorrect. From a vapor to a liquid, and then when it goes to a liquid, it'll go then when it hits the thermostatic expansion valve, which is like a metering device, whatever that may be, then it begins to lower the pressure and it begins to enter the A coil, and then it begins to flash. So on the A coil side, which this would feed, you would be absorbing heat. When you go outside to the condenser here, you would be rejecting heat. So just think of it as a 360 degrees. It's just round and around and around. But the unit needs to be functioning properly and be fine-tuned in order to do this. And there are formulas, say, for instance, superheat, subcooling, and once your formulas are right, if all your fans are working right, if your CFM is sized properly, there are just many things involved. But really, it's very simple. You're doing 360 degrees. You're absorbing heat, you're rejecting heat. The refrigerant's moving in a 360 degree, hypothetically, this is not exact, but it goes, I'm just thinking like 360 degrees, round and around and around. It goes not necessarily in a smooth circle, but it goes in, comes out, goes in, comes out, goes in, comes out, and it goes from one state to the next. It goes from vapor to liquid, liquid to vapor, and then the refrigerant, and again, it absorbs heat. And once it absorbs heat, then it comes back through and then it rejects heat. So inside in the A coil, you would be absorbing heat. And the heat, say, hypothetically, would be in the room. You would be pulling that. And once it comes across the A coil, you're absorbing heat. Once it goes outside and the compressor compresses it, then you start rejecting heat to get rid of the heat. And in the summer months, if one takes their hand and say puts it a foot and a half above the condenser when it's running, do not get close to it. But you may feel the heat coming off, and that may be the heat that the fan is pulling cool air across the condenser in order to reject the heat. But just hypothetically think of the cold side. This would be the cold side. This would be the warm side or the hot side. So again, this would be the suction side. The gurus can add that to the comments. I think this would be the suction side, and this would be the liquid side. So we just put two pipes here to give you an idea. This would be the cool side, the larger line, the smaller line. The red would be the hot side or the warm side. And so this is how the refrigerant moves in and out of a system in order to heat and cool your home. But again, it needs to be fine-tuned. And again, this is with a split unit, not a package unit. So this is what you call a line set. So low pressure, high pressure, line set, and how the heating and air conditioning works in a holistic view. Thank you.